right in the heart with a silver bullet.
I think they plotting on me. Don't fight these beat when they enter the L.A.R. I feel a full stare. Think I ain't looking. Maybe cause I'm focused. No hands out for the hopeless. Funny bullets, I caught some shots. Another piece of the puzzle connecting dots. You can find the truth of laughter and liquor. One more shot to an empty bottle. If you gon' walk it like a model for me, like I don't see her intentions all in my soul. At a time we were just friends, with advice to land. Not special, I was dead broke, but we still got hope. Don't put my words, just pack the issue that raw dough. Just pack the issue that raw dough. Pack the issue that raw dough. To the people that listen to my people, they know that I do care. With their hands in the air, rocking side to side. Now my work, yeah, it's time to ride. Where my niggas at? My niggas ain't my niggas no more. Push me to the back, label to change up his swag. I do it for us, I'm pro-black. Don't rock it the shit, yeah. Wouldn't be so all type of African shit. Just rock a table fade, swagger tailor-made. Polo collars and fly kicks. Just polo collars and fly kicks. Exclusive shit, not get wet. Keep it coming, just don't stop. The revolution starts with shots. Bang.
I'm respectful to my people, and I want to represent my people, and I don't want to be a bad representative. I can't be blind, make the blind lead the blind, they all follow you.
Now my mama said, baby, act like you got sense. They act like I only act right for Lent. Been living in purgatory, but I'm nosing for heaven. Not sure if I'm getting in, cause I ain't paid a reference. Who looking at me when I ain't looking, judging my character? I can't put down my guard on this planet, back in the camera. Ready for my close-up, the lens gets bigger. Won't play me on BET, cause I am not a nigga. My heart is like a powder keg, ready to explode. Smell like strange fruit, cause I'm America's cologne. It started with the hello, think you're a nice fellow. You're ballin' like Carmelo, we treat you like Othello. L.A.R. be the stars, turn a rapper to a prophet. Bulletproof 306, keep your hands in your pocket. Jordan rules for my life, you contain them, can't stop them. I'm niggas sky high, so the clouds can't drop them. My life is like a miracle, my words are just imperial. I'm edible, I'm audible, I'm digital, I'm visual. Spit like Komodo, Joe like Bruce Lee, Roy B, and the meanest, baddest mofo in the dojo. Life is so amazing and raps like Jesus. They said hip hop is dead, but today look like Easter.
Now I wake up in the morning, I'm black and handsome as ever. However, you see me as strange fruit, will it ever happen, not again. A crooked just ain't homicide, he know it's self-defense. But since I'm black and since he white, he got no common sense. That's 1969, and he ain't Jesus Christ. He ain't coming back on Easter, he ain't got a second life. You know I'm right? Hold up, look. Now the sirens in my window here and pull it over. License and registration, gun ain't never in the holster. Plus, that man black too, he wanna act too. A nigga with an attitude and a badge too. A couple tattoos, hoping I act a fool so he can squeeze too. But it ain't nothing different, they the same thing. They pull him over, he gon' get the same thing. Maybe two up in his brain, 21 gun salute. Last words was I'm a copy, last heard fuck you. And he ain't coming back, you know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, y'all say goodbye. Everybody cry, second line. But when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, they know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, everybody cry. Y'all say goodbye, second line. But when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, I'm gone. And now she on welfare. Lost there, daddy can't live there. So he ain't there, and life ain't fair. But the food free, and the rent cheap. His roaches where you sleep. He still came around and taught you baseball. Bought a Barbie doll, he raised all of y'all. And now the kids adults, they both up in the court. She want that child support, he on that child support. But he ain't never taught him baseball, and she ain't never bought him Barbie dolls. They both never there, no, never, not at all. Saying, well, pull your pants up, go while your ass out. They looking back saying, why, y'all ain't ever in the house? You got it backwards, don't you? I'm saying, cause we still preaching unity. And it's supposed to be family first in community. Got it in church to $1 for your blessing. We made in God's image, thinking with Saint's mind. They got us crossed up, now Judas and Caesar. America bury me, but I ain't coming back for Easter. Yeah, they know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, y'all say goodbye. Everybody cry, second line, but when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, they know I'm black like Jesus. But I ain't coming back for Easter, everybody cry. Y'all say goodbye, second line, but when the music stop, move on. Cause I ain't coming home, I'm gone.
What's happening? So, excuse me. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, dogs and cats, chickens and and roosters. We got to talk about this. Very much so. Talk about this. So, here's the thing. There's no nice way to get into the things I'm going to say today. So, no voting. No vucking, and no child support. How about that? See, there comes a point when disrespect is so normal that you're starting to have to check people, every time they pull up, every time you pull up, because you want them to know that you're not going to be trifled with. So we're going to have to play these games, So now, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in the sense of how it should be talked about. So, there comes a point where, because we're gonna do this thing properly from this point on. We're gonna do ourselves some justice. Because all of this, black men need to do this and black men need to do that. We're gonna make it stand on something. There we go. We're gonna make it stand on something. And what it's gonna stand on is this. Y'all done lost y'all ever-loving minds. Y'all done lost y'all minds. I'm looking for a good background at the time, because I got a few. But for everybody who's in here, cannot proceed if y'all don't mind at this point now. So here we go. Let me explain something to a lot of people who may or may not understand this. There comes a point in people's lives when you might have crossed them in a way that they'll never respond to you ever again. And we're at that point. So I did a live on no voting, no vucking. I did a live on they telling on themselves, part 1 and part 2. That's what I did a live on. The lady on Tasha K and 50 Cent's son. But this no voting, no vucking thing, did a video on that. It's gonna come out tonight. Now we gotta, now I gotta tell y'all the truth, just in my opinion. If anybody has looked into the nightlife, the nightclubs, the parties, the lounges, it's pretty much a dead scene. People aren't going, guys aren't really going out like they used to. If you look at people going out in the nightlife, it's usually people posting themselves lonely somewhere, or you see a bunch of ladies dancing, with another lady filming, and they may or may not be filming that person. So if we don't vote and you're not gonna sleep with us, who cares? Like, seriously, who cares? Now, when it comes to the political interests, what are black men's political interests? Shout out to Ike.
Shout out to Dr. Thunder. Shout out to BGS. Shout out to Dr. T.S.on Johnson is the most important piece of this with the 14 points of black men. Black men need money. Black men want opportunity. Black men want fairness in family courts. So you mean to tell me you think you saying I'm not gonna sleep with you if you don't vote my way is really an option? Okay. All right, so let's make it an option then. See, we've already did the video of we've already talked about how black men 51 to 53% of black men don't have kids. So even if they sleeping with you, they're not creating babies with you. We're not, the majority isn't creating babies. So what do you really think you're going to win at this particular point? What does voting for who you want to vote for have to do with us? What do we get out of this? What's the benefit? See, when Roland Martin was on that show with Tiffany Cross, and Tiffany Cross in some ways made some secessions, that, you know what, black men, y'all getting disrespected. Maybe you are getting talked down to. Maybe you are getting treated improperly, but you gonna vote for your oppressor? What makes you think that, because y'all living on this stereotype, that having sex is having sex with you gonna make me vote to be less oppressed? Just common sense. Who can I sleep with to make me less oppressed? And if and we're gonna get down to the stupidness of this stuff. First and foremost, what if I just lied about who I voted for or was going to vote for? Like, have y'all even thought about that? Like, oh yeah, if you don't vote for who I want you to vote for, I'm not gonna sleep with you. Who you want me to vote for? I want you to vote for this person. I'm gonna do it. Can I get something now? Yeah, you can get something now. You hit it, you walk out, you vote for who the hell you want to vote for. Because how you gonna find out? You can't stand in the booth with us. That's private. Who did you vote for? I vote for who you said to. Oh, that's just right. We got one more vote for us. The power of the P. No. Y'all really think y'all pushing P when it comes to election? Seriously? No, it's not happening. But I'm going to take it a step further. If this is the case, brothers are going to ask this question. So, what would you get out of my vote if sex was the weapon you was using? What exactly is it? So have you been behind closed doors, plotting and parlaying and having some policy that's going in your favor, and you're going to use sex as a weapon to get us to, vote for something in your favor? So you've been in the room, since you are the table, obviously you at the table too, right? So no voting, no bucking benefits you, because what was the discussion to even come up with this idea in the first place? I just want to know. I want to know. I'm curious. Obviously, it ain't the student loan thing, because you see how Joe Biden was like, no, thank you. Ain't finna do that. Here's the thing. I'm going to take it another step further. Sex doesn't last as long as policy. So, what kind of policy do you think guys are really, because since we don't have an agenda, we don't have a policy in our favor, what's the benefit of having sex with you for a vote in the first place? Because we ain't got to vote for who you want to vote for. We ain't got to vote for the other side. What about just not voting at all? Since this person it doesn't have my best interest, and this person doesn't have my best interest, and we've said what we wanted, but you just can't do it, no problem. You don't get my vote. But we're going to take it there again. Because I'm gonna sneak this into the no child support part. Don't get it twisted. Most people have voted. That's the thing. The only people who haven't voted are really 18-year-olds. You got it. The most people who haven't voted were the 18-year-olds. So the 18-year-olds are going to be moved by sex. And let me just say this: even if that was the policy that people thought they can get 18-year-old black men to get their vote skewed, pick a person to vote for sex, who's going to be sleeping with them? Other 18-year-old girls? I think not. These are going to be people who are in their mid-20s to their early 30s, to possibly mid to late 30s. So as much as people talk about R. Kelly, you would have been R. Kelly for a vote. So now we're going to get to the other stuff. Just because I'm laying some groundwork to get to some other things that are involved with this. How many people we got in the chat? For all the men in the chat, do me a favor. Watch this. Whether you have kids or don't, would you put a 1 in the chat if you will vote for no more child support, and put a 2 in the chat if you will vote to keep child support the way it is? So since we're going to see where no voting, no bugging, right? Let's see what brothers will vote for. Will brothers vote for no more child support, just 50-50 joint custody? Put a 1 in the chat. That's what we talk about today. Just should we, will black men vote for no child support? I think that's what brothers will vote for. Because if I ain't gotta sleep with you, I gotta get a baby with you, I gotta get caught up in the system with you. So you see, brothers will vote for no more child support. Oh snap! I appreciate these backers in ones. I really do, because here's the point I'm trying to make. Would black women vote for no more child support? Would the sisterhood vote for, child support, the way it's structured, it don't work. We need to abolish that. Let's talk to our Democratic Party so we can abolish child support. Do you think that they'll vote for no more child support? We all know the answer is no. No, they would not vote for no more child support because it's too, quote unquote, beneficial. So you're saying you wouldn't sleep with me if I don't vote your way. But hey, man, but you wouldn't share custody of the kids if we made them. Exactly. So we got a problem. Boss. Universe. That's a nice play on words. I appreciate that. So if we want to go there, let's completely go there. We will vote for no child support. You will vote to keep it as is. Put a 1 in the chat if you will vote for grade school and high school programs and college programs that will put black boys on the track to get hired at these corporations. You know, whether it's oil and gas or solar energy or construction job or agriculture or tech. Put a one in the chat if you will vote for something that would fashion industry. Put a one in the chat if you will vote for. I will vote for a policy that put black boys just into school age on a path to get employment. See, appreciate y'all. Just the back-to-back ones. Back-to-back ones. Appreciate that. Now we're going to ask another question. Do you think black women will vote for that? To have, black boys school age, from let's just say from 6th grade to college degree or master's degree level to get on track to get employment, just black boys in particular. Does affirmative action work for everybody else? It's just black male affirmative action. That's dope. Do you think the sisters will vote for? Yeah, well, you know what? We're gonna make sure my son is going to be employed. Oh, I'm gonna take it a step further in a second. Because in my opinion, the answer is no. The answer is gonna always be no. But let's take it a step further. Title IX. How Title IX in athletics. Notice how Title IX. Usually these big schools have black players who they shell out the most money for in football and basketball. Predominantly, they selling tickets left and right. These big events are sanctioned around that. So part of the profits from Title IX has to go to all the other sports programs. It has to trickle down to help other people. Okay, no problem. I got a proposition. Why don't you use Title IX? I'm just gonna sip on this one. Why don't you use Title IX and some of those funds to fund black boys from impoverished areas to give them some, to pay for some of their tuition? Just saying, because it's predominantly black boys who are paying for everybody else's stuff. Well, shouldn't the football players who are predominantly black and the basketball players are predominantly black, and they're doing something for every other demographic in the school that plays sports? How come they can't do a little something for the demographic of black males at the school? Like the United Negro College Fund was supposed to do. Well, I don't know if they do anymore. Just something very simple. You know what I'm saying? Would you vote for that? Appreciate that. Would you vote for that? Yo, we're gonna take some of this Title IX money and we're gonna get some of these, STEM majors and maybe liberal arts majors or arts majors. We're gonna pay their out-of-state fee. We're gonna pay their tuition. It's gonna come out of the budget. They're a small demographic. They need a leg up in life, right? Would you do that? Question: would you vote for that? Would you vote for that? Us as guys, we know how this gonna roll. The answer would be no. So no voting, no vugging, no child support. That's how we're gonna roll with this. Now, I'm gonna add something to the mix now. Would you vote? Because most black men, just a thought. It's all right. Watch this. Let's just say black men voted, we got the no child support thing in. Let's just say it happened. Will black women want to vote for women not paying child support? Put a 1 in the chat if you think black women will vote for women to not pay child support. If they would actually flip custody. Man, Roger, thanks, man. I'm gonna get it together though. I'm gonna get it together, fam. It's been a rough few weeks, but I'm gonna get back to hitting everybody up. I'm gonna start doing that tomorrow. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, would sisters lose custody? Would they vote for women shouldn't pay, mothers shouldn't pay child support? Would they vote for that? Because they don't want the men to vote for it. Men, you should vote that a mother should never have to take care of her child. You know how I know this to be true? Because I know of mothers who ducking and dodging child support. Gotcha. All right. So we're gonna take it somewhere. So let's put all of this together in a political sense. Simone Sanders told Luke, nobody wants your unsolicited opinions, his political opinions. While she's in a party that ironically funded and backed and created Get Your Booty to the Poll, a stripper video for voting primarily Democratic. Vax that thing up. And dun, 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 no vote, no bugging. So you told a guy who is known for having strippers around that his political opinions didn't matter because he didn't bring the strip club to politics. But you told Luke to shut up about politics and turned around and became 2 Live Crew political. And somebody's supposed to take you serious. Interesting. Let's take it a step further. After that, does anybody remember how, I'm trying to think of this political pundit's name. Tiffany Cross did it, but there's another woman who had another moment. She's a big lady. Because I know y'all remember the Maxine Waters thing when she was like Megan Thee Stallion's an inspiration. Then they had Cardi B, as a not necessarily a pundit, but she was supposed to rejuvenate and get people to vote. Y'all remember the Beyonce thing with Hillary Clinton and I got hot sauce in my bag. I remember the Kamala Harris going on the Breakfast Club and saying she's not going to do nothing for black people. I remember Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. See, I remember all of these things. Yeah, Simone Sanders. It's the other. Is that? I think it's another. It's the other chick. I think it's a different woman. It's gotta. Yes, it is a different woman. Because the other woman was the one that was talking about she couldn't lose weight under a Trump era because, of the stress. She was overweight before Trump was president. She's been overweight and morbidly obese after he by Brittany Cooper. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now we got the BLM thing. Black Lives Matter saying basically, hey man, we're gonna use black men as a reference, but they're not to be involved, especially straight black men in particular, not to be involved in these and our plans and our policies and this, that, and the third and our agenda. Okay, no problem. It became a LGBTQ agenda, and then the vast majority of the quote unquote leaders and the female leaders got caught stealing money, hands in the cookie jar. Now, here's the problem. And I'm going to wrap all this up in a bow and say it this way. How could you even not realize that the vast majority of these ladies' political agenda is for the rainbow community? So even with no voting, no vugging, that's a lesbian agenda. It's a gay man agenda, a black lesbian agenda, a black gay man agenda. That's a P Valley, Lil Murder, and Uncle Clifford and the strippers agenda. That ain't got nothing to do with black men. I mean, seriously? So I don't know how big you think that population is. I mean, you already got the black female vote. They're the number one consistent voter for the Democratic Party. I don't know how big you think the gay vote is. It's still black women because it's predominantly black women who are lesbians. And it's like, so who you trying to play on this one? And the reason why I got to talk about it that way is because it is. And we really don't talk about this enough. You know what demographic of men normally have custody and normally don't pay child support? Or they have an image of having custody of their kids and not paying child support? Gay men. Think about all of it, like when you look at it, what's happening? Gay men it could be a black gay couple, and they could be raising 2 boys or 2 girls, a son and a daughter, and you like, where the mama at? It could be a dude and a dude, no problem. So you want to explain to me? And these kids don't be adopted. They're their actual kids. See, that rainbow community, same thing with lesbians. She was straight when she got pregnant, and then she became a lesbian when she had the baby, and then she got a girlfriend, and her and her girlfriend is raising a kid. Somehow, nobody bats an eye. So even if you quote unquote don't get what you want, you still catering and kowtowing to a community that's raising kids. They're the minority, of course, but somehow the rules for them raising kids are completely different than everybody else, than the heterosexual people. So a black woman already's got a leg up in the court. A black lesbian woman has got a leg up in the court. A black gay man's got a leg up in the court, but a black heterosexual man doesn't. So what's the agenda? Shout out to Brooklyn, man. What's the agenda? Why am I even talking about it in this way? Specifically for one particular reason. If I think I can get your vote from sleeping with you, and at the end of it, if that actually happened, you were to get pregnant, you would have voted for the judges in the family court that have you on child support, effectively. And what you're seeing right now, which to me is a desperate attempt, how the eviction rates are, well, with the economy and inflation, people forget, like, ladies are getting evicted left and right. You know what to give a lot of these ladies a bump up? You guessed it. Child support. Not just child support, being a mother. The programs for being a mother. The kickbacks from being a mother. Not just not just Section 8 and that type of thing, because that still exists, but no. I'm talking about you having, you can get what is that? You can get student loans, or sometimes and grants. You can get business loans, or you can get your startup capital. You can, quote unquote, remember this, and it's about to get ugly when I say this. How far removed are we from that? It's supposed to be $10 billion investment that was supposed to be for Black women. How far are we from? How far removed are we from that? Because you're trying to tell me, corporate America is going to invest $10 billion in you to get into STEM, and right after that, we're supposed to actually vote for who you want to vote for, who's already somehow done something for you. So that means you're effectively planning ahead, right? Effectively planning ahead. But here's the problem, and here's the major problem that this voting bloc forgets. And shout out to Edward Anderson for this, because we had this conversation. The group that gets the least help in the Black community is Black men. We make the most money in Black America, Black men. But Black women have the most disposable income in Black America. So what a lot of folks don't realize, Goldman Sachs, thank you. I don't think they have either, but they said they was. But since they said they was, guess what? I don't need to vote for who you want to vote for. They got your money sitting there waiting, right? That's my point. But I appreciate you. But here, I lost my train of thought. I was about to say something else about that. The ladies have the most disposable income. So because of that, they make the most mistakes. See, how much money do you think they spent on hair and hair care? Just not as a group, just as individual level. What's up, George? I feel you on that. Well, you know what, George? Let me ask you a question. Are we united when it comes to tricking? Because I said our ladies have the most disposable income in our community. Are we united when it comes to giving them money? Are we united when it comes to making sure they save money? Are we united when it comes to making sure that they have more than the resources they need? Are we united when it comes to that? Because we're not doing that for each other. I definitely agree with that. But are we doing that? But are we united when it comes to making sure the ladies get ahead? What up, Third Ward? You know what I'm saying? That's the question. That's my question. Matter of fact, I got a little bit of time today. The game plan. Because we're gonna get into something. I want to be a little interactive today. So if somebody want to pop up, you can pop up. We can talk a little bit. If somebody else pop up, we go one-on-one to one-on-one. I ain't even gonna do the whole panel thing. I just have a discussion with the fellas, with the folks, with anybody who want to come up. As a matter of fact, except for trolls. If you got a difference of opinion, you're welcome. But if you're a troll, don't even do it. You're wasting my time. But I say that to say this. What happened is this. The lady spent more on her hair. They spent more on their clothes. They spent more on their trips. They spent more out to eat. They spent more, the family spent more on their transportation. They spent more on getting them out of debt. They spent more on investing in their education. And because of that, and add on the child support, the Section 8, the Title IX, the affirmative action, the programs for, the Black Girl Magic S type programs. And what do you get? You get people who got, an infinite amount of opportunity, but don't necessarily have any success stories that come out of it. Their success stories are minimal compared to Black male success stories. That's a problem, because they be the most highly invested in group in our community and have the least amount of and by the looks of it, we have far more successes. For the people who weren't supported, it becomes a problem. What's up, George? I got you, fam. Temptation, how you doing? With the beautiful family picture.
What's going on? What's going on? Hold on, let me get myself together real quick. Yeah, but I just look at it. I look at it like this. Listen, right? We got a 10th degree black belt in talking about the Black woman and what she don't do, and a lot of men, we're logical. There's a lot of intelligent Black men that are logical. We understand what we up against and what's going on. The problem is, I hear a lot of Black men talk about us being in the middle class and we have all this, and all that sound good. It sound well. Black men don't stick together enough to the point where other men of other ethnic groups and women can see us out in the open with ownership and production going forward, where we're actually marking our own territory and making our way. We have a lot of individual success, but not as a group. When you see a Pakistani man, he represents a group. An Indian man, when you see a Black man, you see an individual, and this is the problem. And for me, I can't attribute that back to women, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because there's a lot of successful Black men out here that's doing well. Ain't no Black woman stopped them from getting that. So I don't give us that excuse. I understand what the women are doing, but at the end of the day, we got to get unapologetic and say this is what we want and this is what we're doing. Despite until that, all this is all window dressing. It's all for nothing. We just complaining. Because listen, L.A.R, you a grown man. Don't nobody give a shit about a Black man and his complaints. Either you doing or you ain't.
That's actually part of my point. Because I can make the case on the opposite end of the spectrum that nobody cares about Black men, and nobody cares about our complaints, even if they're legitimate. That also goes with other Black men. So it's hard to work with a group of people who doesn't care about the group of people that they're working with. And while the women are taking the brunt of this issue, it's not necessarily the voting issue, but it's the parenting issue. Because you can make the case that a lot of brothers were raised by single parents, and forget the there's no man in the house thing. But it was the don't trust Black men in particular. It was mothers teaching sons that Black men aren't to be trusted just like their dads. So what cultivated the mistrust came from, you can say a bulk of the problem came from that environment in itself. You can make that case. You know what I'm saying? So, and the problem with us brothers is we've manifested that with each other.
No, I agree. But I think there's two issues going on in the Black community with Black men. We got a lot of Black men because that suffer from trauma, and we developed I can't wait to get the F out of here mentality. So a lot of Black men work as hard as they can to get out of their environment and to make something better of themselves. And with that, you see the individualism because they're fighting to get out of the trauma. You hear brothers come and talk about it. Like they'll tell you, I grew up in East St. Louis. I come from Chicago. I got a brother that's dead, or my mama didn't do this, or my daddy wasn't there. And they use all that as the fuel to make something better of themselves. The problem that we have is all of those men that got that individual success, they're not meeting up as a group to start the build. Like you'll watch an Indian man come to America, get an IT. Within 10 years, they'll have a whole building. All those Indian people be living in that whole building that they done brought, and all of them is doing IT. Black men, we don't do that for each other as a whole. You may have small pockets, but we don't do it as a whole to the point where in America, as long as we've been here, and we say we foundational Black Americans, where is the foundation, L.A.R.? Where's the foundation?
Well,
So other groups can see it in operation.
I'm glad you said that, because our community, let's just be honest, we're not necessarily the business community first, we're the sports and entertainment community, and that's our lens that we can view even business through, right? That's the first thing. So I'm gonna use sports and entertainment as a reference. You see a lot of brothers on social media and in interviews about how they got done wrong by brothers without saying that they themselves wanted a brother to do above and beyond for them something that they wouldn't do for anybody else. So you see brothers in business who've created businesses, who created opportunities and platforms for people who for all intents purposes, people will say this is a stand-up guy. You've seen these brothers get chopped down by other brothers who actually work for them because they just didn't like being number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. And beyond that, I can make the case like we were talking about people come from rough environments. We don't think about Black men having PTSD when it comes from just getting away from dysfunction. Like some of us we might take too long. I must admit that we might take too long of a break, but some of us just want to get away from the dysfunction and never return to it. And it takes us years and years, sometimes decades, to decompress from all the stuff we've been through. And it's hard to work with somebody when you still trying to fix you. For some guys, it's just too much. And I hope the Eagles lose today, since you're talking that, by the way. You muted, George.
I would say this thing is twofold. What I've noticed is despite the success, we raised a generation of wuss men. We cry too much. I gotta be honest, we cry too much. This is the thing, it's twofold, right? From a time a boy, at L.A.R., you have a son, I have a son. From a time a boy exits the womb, a boy has to be raised up and taught what his role is to himself, his family, and his community. If he's not taught that, he loses a lot of his logic that he uses in order to build. He has to be raised up in a culture that dictates how he operates within his people and his culture. Other men outperform us because they're raised that way. They're taught, they're built up and raised that way. We have a generation of men, right? Because I seen somebody say in the chat that we don't know how. I disagree. Black people work in every department damn near in this country across America. You got Black people. We know how to do every goddamn thing. As far as doing work. The problem is we don't know how to work with each other. But we know how to go work for Mr. Charlie. We work in construction, we work domestic, we work in the civil service buildings. We do everything, L.A.R. Am I wrong? I
can make the point that you just made, though.
Yeah.
You're right. We could work for everybody else except us. You know why? Because we were raised to respect everybody else but us.
Thank you. That's my point. That's why I said, remember what I said in the beginning? You got a son, I got a son. From the time a Black boy is born, I'm not talking about girls. Mm-hmm. He has to be raised up in a culture that dictates how he treats himself, his family, what his responsibility is to his community. And the people that he's responsible for, because the community has expectations on Black men, right? And the Black men that we got today, they're not raised to meet any of those expectations. So like that's why I use the term the Indian man. Or we like to say, well, when the Mexican move into the black community, within 5 years, they got stores, they got everything. Guess who's building those communities, L.A.R? Men. They understand what it is that they're supposed to do. So all I'm saying, I just made the point here. All I'm saying to brothers is, in 2022, we have educated black men everywhere. And we ain't poor. We got money. The problem that we have, and I want brothers to understand, it's not the women, man. The women ain't stop you from achieving your individual success. The problem is us. It's us. I'm not excusing women of their behavior, but when do we say, excuse me, Keisha, get out my goddamn way. Me and Brian gonna go build this.
Hold up. Now, you know, if we say, excuse me, Keisha, get out my goddamn way, we do this, Keisha gonna hit that 911 on us.
That's fine.
Get out the way. 911, that's gonna be a problem.
Hold on a second.
That's gonna be a problem. Once we move out the way and 911 come, it's a problem. Oh, go ahead. So he just for y'all to know, he's on the phone with our manager, letting him know that he's still the backup singer to the Temptations. He'll never be the lead. But the point that we're talking about is this. We've come, like he said, we got it. Like I could say this, George, me and you got a different situation, right? You a great family man. My son was living with me, and I came home from work on his last day of summer school. His mama picked him up and disappeared a couple months ago. Now that creates a problem because I got to go to court to do this all over again. But the problem I'm saying it creates is we've been taught to undermine each other.
Yes.
And the men are supposed to be undermined specifically. So I've seen it time and time again with brothers who own businesses, brothers who have brothers working for them. You know what the biggest problem is? Those brothers will do a job or do a shoddy job for them and do a great job for somebody else.
Yes.
Now, and they were taught that in their household. That's that's why I said, it ain't necessarily just about the what's up, Nicole? It ain't just about the quote unquote black women. It's about, the black community in itself. You want brothers to build a community for you, but you disrespect them with no voting, no vugging. You want brothers to just like, I don't know if you saw this, and I implore you to look at it if you got a chance. Just take the first 30 minutes. Tasha K did an interview with Blueface Mom. And she just back to back ran down how bad of a parent she was, and she was so nonchalant about it, like it was okay, and you can tell all the chaos it created.
Take it up.
But one of the things she said was,
no, not right there. Put that down. I'm sorry, L.A.R. Go ahead.
No. It's all it's all love. I'm hitting the comments too. One of the things she said was she was a single mom, and 9 out of 10 of the single moms she knew had children who either got locked up or got killed. And that would mean your whole crew is bad. And if your whole crew is bad, what do you think is gonna come from that situation? And what I'm getting at about the political part and the family part and the child support part and part of what you're talking about with the business part is this. We've been taught to enjoy losing. I was watching a video of a young brother running track. He came back and got first place.
No, yeah, I was agreeing with you. We've been taught to enjoy losing and be okay with it, as opposed to our grandfathers in the era. They didn't play that shit.
Right. But this young cat was in second place. He ran, it was the last maybe 60 meters. He passed the guy in first, gave him the look like and talked crazy to him, like, yeah. And you know what happened right after that? He slowed down and missed the finish line and came in third. Because he was so busy talking trash, he thought it was over when it wasn't. And I was sitting there like, this is a home problem. Because common sense will tell you how you win. We don't know how to win. And we were not taught how to win at home. We were taught how to look good and not win. If anybody in the chat, type one if you saw the Redeem Team documentary on Netflix. Because that's, in my opinion, what we've become as black men. We came out the gate smoking with the Dream Team, and then we got comfortable. Our families got comfortable and said, I'm too good to do this right now.
Let me ask you a question, L.A.R. Because a lot of people was introduced to Kevin Samuels when they seen him talking to women. But they didn't Kevin Samuels, before the Manosphere really went viral, when he was talking to men and how hard he was on men and building. And he would talk about the mere fact that, the Manosphere is having these conversations, meaning that black men got to work even harder. And I remember he said something one day. He said, if you could come on here and you can break all this stuff down as a man, that means you consciously aware of what's going on. Now what you going to do about it? And I remember when he was saying that, a lot of people were stuck because Kevin would say, listen, this ain't women. We don't get to cry and moan and bitch and moan. If you can articulate as a man what the problem is, now I'm asking, what's the next solution? Mm-hmm. And men are supposed to be natural problem solvers. And what I'm saying is, because a lot of people misunderstand me. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that I absolve women of what they do. But at the end of the day, as a man, nobody's going to give a fuck about you crying about a woman. You got to figure out with your brothers how to solve a problem. Now, this is the thing, right? L.A.R. said the thing about what happened with his child's mom. When black men start caring about each other, right? Black men in powerful positions, black men in the white collar positions, and all these things start to say, you know what? I'm up here, but I care about the brothers where I left. Let me start working with brothers to get legislation passed. Let's start getting certain things where we can hire our own people so we can. Everything's for sale in America. This is capitalism. Everything is for sale. You get power by what you bring to the table. Somebody said other groups can come because they get help from the federal government. Guess what? You Negroes been here for 400 years. This is yours. You have to declare it yours. Ain't nobody stopping me in L.A.R. or any other brother from starting a business. And you know what's the only thing that's stopping it from growing is if you niggas don't support it. So you got to support.
You know what?
Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
We grew up in a different time period compared to now. What we can see is getting ugly out there right now, right?
Yes. And
I think what's happening, and just bear with me and tell me what you think about this. Roger, give me 1 second, fam. Hold up. There we go. Let me know if you can hear, because your avatar don't have is blank right now. But here's my issue. You see the kids in the streets, right? You see how they cutting up. Some of them. Those aren't the majority of the kids in our community, that the ones that are just cutting up like that. But here's the problem. Because you want brothers to work together. I'm of the belief that what winds up happening is, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
You want people, well, sometimes we want people in our community to help people in our community that were a detriment to our community in our lives. And I don't think we have that kind of forgiveness for each other. That's the issue, because I don't, and I'm gonna say it in this way about even the forgiveness. The people who are a detriment to our community, they just want to be forgiven. They don't want to atone anything. So it's hard to trust a person who just wants your forgiveness but doesn't want to do anything to atone it. So it makes it hard to. Could you come back and help me? I could come back and help somebody, but not you.
I gotta push back.
I don't trust you.
I gotta push back.
Huh?
I gotta push back on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm gonna tell you why I gotta push back on that. I understand what you're saying, but what that does is devalue us as men. See, you gotta understand something. It's like Cerulean Gray used to say. There's other groups of competing men that created the system that we're struggling through now. Right? We're a little older. We know the history. We know our struggles and what we've been through. We know what happened yesterday affects now. Right? The problem that we have is you're not just doing it for those groups that want forgiveness that may have been done damage to the community, because black dysfunction is profitable for everybody but black people. That's a system that's created. What you have to do is the same thing the Italians had to do to their peoples. The Irish had to do when they was living in these inner cities, selling drugs and doing everything. You have to redevelop your people so you can start creating generations of people more like the better people. What happens is, as soon as we get some money, we run away to the communities that we said was historically racist against us, while they run to the community to buy it up. We're supposed you're supposed to acquire the properties within the community you live in and make money off the equity within the communities. We run away from it because we keep talking about the trauma, while everybody else runs to it. What I'm saying is, you're gonna always have people that fuck the community up, but you need to control where they live and control the economics of your community as a man. If you don't do it, what happens is, whenever something happens, you're still rendered powerless because you don't bring nothing to the table. You don't control the cities you live in, you come from. So to me, they're secondary. The bigger picture is what Dr. King and Medgar Evers and them said, the legacy. We're doing this so 20, 30 years from now, you can own all this shit, and now you control the power, the system of capitalism. Men have to assert power. Fuck emotions. Fuck that he was destroying the community 15 years ago. Okay, he was a Pookie and Ray Ray. That's fine. I want to own all this shit now, because now I have the ability to do more than what my grandfather had to do. I make $200,000 a year working in this corporation. My grandfather could never do that. As a black man, I can now. So is it coming upon us to get power? Fuck the emotions of what somebody did. Power. We don't think like that, L.A.R. We don't think power. We think job. Everything is desperation. Power and fun. Job and fun, not power. We take shit personal.
I'm going to get to Roger, you got it.
Okay, well, I'm going to say the problem is a lot of the way the boys are raised, because we're not focused on how we need to focus. The issue the black men have is not that we don't work together. We're trained to help women. And we concern ourselves with helping women, just like I said in the super chat, and we don't concern ourselves with helping each other. Helping women is useless, and that's proven to be useless. We've done it for decades at this point. It does not work. The only way to really help the quote unquote community, you got to help men. Don't worry about what no woman's doing. If a woman wants some help, let her find a husband, she'll be fine. Ignore them. That's what we need to do. You focus on the men and stop worrying about the women. And men need to be taught that women are that important. You got to stop looking at them as equals. They're not your equal. They're never going to do what you're supposed to do as a man. They're not going to take care of us for a lifetime. So therefore, they should be dictated to instead of doing the dictation. And the problem we have right now, we got so many women who are comfortable trying to be men. On a political forefront, they want to have control over there because they want to dictate. They don't want to take care of anything, though. And when you have someone who can dictate things without having the responsibility of taking care of things, you always get chaos at the end of that. Every time you put that together, that combination equals chaos. Anybody who wants to be in control but not be responsible, the outcome is chaos no matter what. That's what you have with black women. We need to recognize that they create chaos. And at the end of the day, a man is not running from a community. The community is black men. Only women can run from it. Women can go pick a leader from some other community. A black man is the black community. And if men don't take ownership of the black community, then you're not going to get good results. We are the black community. You cannot run from yourself. So you can live in any particular neighborhood. It doesn't make a difference. You're a black man. If a black woman wants to be part of the black community, and I'm talking about a functional black community, she has to be married to a man. And if we don't, and the problem is we don't treat her like she ain't a part of our community. And most of them are not, because most of them are not married. They're not us. If they wanted to be where we are, they'd be married to us. If they refuse to get married, they should not concern us.
I want to pose a question, because something you just said, Roger, sparked something, and I'm gonna throw it to you on this one, George. he just said about, and I wish I could have said it verbatim, but I can't right now. You know, people want power without responsibility. And when I'm talking about the men, you talk about the men working together, I'm saying that it's brothers either are great at vetting, because there's a lot of brothers in our community who want power but no responsibility.
Yes.
And a lot of times those are the brothers who, and that's hard to work with. You know, that's the issue of us working together is, you know, people want to be the man just to say I'm the man, but when it's time to actually do something that the man is supposed to do, it's like, hey, bro, I gotta go. Like using let me see if I can use this using television references. We want Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable to work with Marlo Stansfield, and that ain't gonna work. Now, am I wrong? You can push back, take it any way you want to take it.
I disagree, because in the other communities, Heathcliff Huxtable, Marlo Stansfield, and the politician all work together hand in hand. You already saw George Bush Jr. tell Saddam Hussein, you got 24 hours to get out your country. He was sending his goons in. So each group worked together hand in hand. What it is, they have a common goal on nation building and what it is they're doing. So they have their religious set, they have their gangsters, they have their political people, and they have the people that actually run the community, run the nation. With us, we operate as individuals, and we all looking at each other like we crazy. We're not lining each other up in the right positions that they need to be. So for me, it all starts in when a boy is born and how he's raised and what he understands he's supposed to do. And that comes.
Hold that thought.
All right.
And I'm sorry for interrupting you, but hold that thought. From my vantage point, all the other groups work in their separate group. The doctors work with the doctors, the gangsters work with the gangsters, the politicians work with the politicians. They all have their agenda, but they work separately because they can't work together. But with us, we think we could intermingle all those groups together.
That's not what I'm saying. Now, this is the part you're missing.
Okay.
They all do work together. I'm going to tell you why. It's like building a building. You got the plumbers on one floor. You got the electricians laying the wires all throughout the walls. You got the carpenters. They all work together for a common goal. They might not all get along in there, but they know in order to build this building, we got to work together in order to make this building stand upright for it to produce within wherever we're going to be at. What I'm saying is all of those groups work together for a common goal as far as nation building and redeveloping their people. What we do is we come on the thing, I ain't fucking with him, I ain't working with him, and I'll turn around and say, nigga, I ain't asked you if you like this motherfucker or not. You do your job, he do his job. And when we turn around, we get shit passed, we get things done for our people. We the only ones that got the problem, but you know what we'll do? We'll go work for Mr. Charlie and shut right the fuck up and sit in a cubicle for 8 hours. We'll go and lay that concrete and do everything for them. We won't do it for each other to build what we need to do. We go do it for them. So what I'm saying is they all work together for a common goal in order to achieve economic prosperity and develop their people to live the American dream. We've been here the longest. We ain't figured this shit out already. I wouldn't care if L.A.R. didn't like me. Oh, he's the best electrician. Get that dude right there. Listen, he got the contract, give him the money. He don't get along with such and such. I don't give a fuck. They got to lay them floors. We got to get this shit done. We the only ones that don't do that. It ain't about liking. It's about getting power. Fuck emotions. We are the problem we have at L.A.R. as black men. We too fucking emotional and not logical. Where's the logic in this? All right, y'all finish arguing? Let's get back to working. We don't do that, but we'll do it for somebody else. We'll get rid of all that emotion to go work under Mr. Chopper. That's all I'm saying.
I'm a pivot for a second. Yeah. It's coming to you, Roger, because this is part of the. And I'm gonna let you sit on this one for a second, George, so you can answer it. Because I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna skip it. Earlier, I talked about the no voting, no vugging, and the child support thing. But I said, black men. Will black men vote for programs that help black boys and black men from school age to college age? And it's like, put one in the chat. And the second part of that question was, would black women vote for things that help black boys to from school age to college age become employable or let's put entrepreneurs in that same thing. Well, they vote for those same type of policies. And the fellas agreed that black men will vote, but the sisters wouldn't. So Roger, what do you think? And then when you're done, you got it, George.
Sisters gonna vote for whatever helps them. That's what they're gonna do. And if it can exclude men, they definitely gonna vote for it because they're their own group, and they've stated that through the things they talk about and their political positions and how they work out in the field. And the field is just wherever you're working in the world. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm talking about America, but you go on your job, whether it be your corporate, whether you're in HR, whatever the case is, they do stuff for them. They are not concerned with any dude who is straight and 18 and over. They're not concerned with what happens to those guys. And the issue is because black men have been taught to look out for women. You got black men looking out for women. You got black women looking out for women, and you got nobody looking out for black men. So of course we're going to have issues when it comes to that situation. That's why men need to retrain. We need to retrain men on how they think. You got to understand the men are the community, not the women. The women go to whoever get them. They have to be qualified. But most black men are scared to tell a black woman she has to qualify to be in the functional black community. We scared to tell them that.
George, you can take it wherever you want to take it from this stuff.
Well, I'll say this. You know me, I'm black first. Been married 18 years to a black woman. Come straight from the streets. Been in prison for all kinds of wicked shit. Changed my life. And I look at it like this. Raised by my father. I was raised by an ex-military man. No excuses. Get out and get it done. He don't give a damn about what a woman talking about. Amen. Get over here and let's get it done. That's just what I know. So for me, I'm gonna be honest with you. Me understanding how the system of racism and white supremacy works, institutionally, systematically, psychologically, I'm gonna be 100% honest for everybody watching. I'm not shocked at the way most of our women behave. I'm not shocked. Our women don't belong to us, L.A.R. What do we have set in place where we provide food, shelter, clothing for our women? For the most part, we give our women dick. They go to Mr. Charlie for everything else. So what I'm saying to black men, because I'm using logic, I'm looking outside at what's going on. Until we get tired of being tired and start being about it, it's gonna keep being the same. This is America. Everything is for sale. Black men that are already in the know have to say, you know what? This is what the problem is. I know we wasn't getting along on Monday, but on Tuesday, this is what we're doing. My whole thing is most of our women don't belong to us. They don't belong to us. We're not in control of our own stuff. So I'm landing right here. So all I'm saying is, I understand what the brother right here is saying too. Because our women don't belong to us, and we can all articulate this, then what the hell are we talking about? I'm just a man's man, I'm my father's son. What are we talking about? It's time to get the shovels and start plowing the road.
I got a question for the both of you. Roger, you got it, and then George, because you just, I'm glad you said what you said. I appreciate you for that. This is America, capitalism. Everything is for sale. Two-part question. Is being B1 for sale?
Yes.
And how much does it cost?
Nothing. You can just walk in and say I'm B1. That's why I said, as remember, we black men, we're logical. You got a better person.
Whoa. Hold that, because what I'm saying is this. If our problem is we're actually not black first, because we're for sale for everybody else. And you're saying we have to have food, food, shelter, and clothing for our own people.
Yes.
One of the arguments that people put is, especially with the family argument, before we can get to the community, people will sell out the families providing food, shelter, and clothing for the freedom of not having to abide by family rules. So, what is the price? How much do you think it could cost? And Roger, you answer that first or whatever, and then George, you got it. Because would you is B1 for sale, and how much would it cost to actually get you to stay B1? You got it, Roger.
Well, I say from what I know of B1, B1 is a joke. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? When most people, from what I can tell, who are saying B1, they're not black first. They white supremacists at the end of the day, and they just call themselves B1 so nobody will look at the white supremacist actions that they do. B1, as far as I know, all they want you to do is not have families. They want you to break families up. Ain't nobody trying to work together. Folks is not trying to get married. So I look at it as a joke. If you're pro-black and you're a man, you know, I say this many times on my show. Once you pass your 18th birthday and you're out of high school, if you're a productive man, you either went to college or some form of trade school. You furthered your education, or you went out and got a job, or maybe you went to the military. Or nowadays, it's easier to do because of technology. You go start a business. If you're taking care of yourself as a man and you're willing to marry a woman and take care of her and children, that means you're pro-black. Point blank, period. Everybody else, you're just talking about it, that don't mean nothing at the end of the day. If you're pro-black, you don't mind shopping in the business and you don't have an issue because a black man owns the business. Okay, a lot of folks, they got an issue when they find out a black man owns the business. It's so bad that there are millionaires who are hiding the fact that their own businesses just so people won't know that a black man owns the company. That's known in the business world by multimillionaires. They don't even want to advertise their own name on their own business. So this is an issue big enough for multimillionaires to deliberately hide the fact that they're black men that own business. So, you know, don't get me wrong. There's going to be some folks who consider themselves B1 and their heart is in the right place. But I don't pay attention to rhetoric. I pay attention to what people are actually doing. If you black first, you're going to move like you're black first. Most black women ain't black first because they don't want to get married. They don't want to stay in the marriage if they actually get in a marriage. And they don't want men to raise their children. And how do I know this? Just look at the number of women who had kids and they had their child out of wedlock and don't live with the father of the child. They always want, if their child is raised by a man, they normally want it to be raised by a different man. It's got to be somebody who ain't related to the kid, because she wants to exert control over how he grows up as a boy or how she grows up as a girl. Now, if you got people who shouldn't be in charge raising the kids, how do you develop men who already understand what they're supposed to be doing when they hit 18 so they can take off running? That's going to be a harder thing to do. But we argue to protect them as if they're doing something good. At the end of the day, if we actually believe in being black, like it's supposed to mean something, then we get out here, we marry somebody, and we'd actually stay together, and we'd be on these women's heads for not wanting to do so. But a lot of men don't want to say nothing to women because we've been trained to be afraid of them. Men will fight the biggest, burliest man. We'll go to prison, have a fight with a dude in prison, and you put a little woman in front of him, that nigga turned into a girl.
I think he just.
And that's what black men's main problem is. We keep trying to focus on what women want instead of what we need to do for each other as men. If a woman ain't married, she don't even count to me.
I'm answer how you want to answer it, but I'm gonna pivot to you, George, with this part before you take it wherever you want to take it. But just what do you think the cost? Like, how much does it cost? Like you brought up Kevin Samuels when he's like, what is the cost of submission? What does it actually cost? What would be a reasonable cost to say, okay, I'm black first and I'm putting this, that, and the third in front of you. This should be reasonable for you to take to continue to be black first. And then you can answer whatever you want to answer to Roger, say whatever you want to say.
The cost is showing and improving the lifestyle. We live in our culture, the door's wide open in L.A.R. Anybody can walk in. It's like if you leave your house, you go to work and leave your house wide open. Anybody can just walk in your house when you ain't home. There's nothing there to protect it. There's nothing there to stop them. So that's B1 and pro-black. The door is wide open. Anybody can walk in. You can't do that in Asian culture here in America. They won't let you. You can't do that in Latino culture, European culture. They won't let you. And black, pro-black, B1, the door is wide open. So the criteria has to be like the other groups: family first, legacy, generational wealth, building. So on my channel, what do I promote? L.A.R. Family. I show my wife. You know why I show my wife and my grandchildren and me so much L.A.R. on my channel? Do you know why I do it?
I'm glad you do it. I remember you saying it, but say it again.
I do it because I want to show black people that it's possible to be done. Yo, and I tell black people, this actually exists, right? I understand the arguments of what's going on, but my old Baptist minister used to say when I was a kid, Reverend Bright, Bethany Baptist Church, he said the devil's always working, but what that got to do with me? And at my age, in my 40s, I say, I understand what some of these sisters out here is doing, but what that got to do with me? What the hell does that got to do with me? This pro-black, B1, whatever, is a lifestyle that you create and you work together with other groups for a common goal to build legacy, unapologetic, uncompromising. The problem that we have is, I understand what the brother is saying too, but the problem is a lot of black men, a lot of our black men don't want to be married either. Listen, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna take the gloves off real quick. I'm just gonna say this.
That's an outright lie. That's an outright lie. Well, he just may not know no better, but men want to be married.
Bro, it's all men up here. There ain't no women up here. Listen, this is what I'm saying. The problem that we have in our community and what's destroying the community is normalized casual sex. And this is something that don't nobody want to talk about. Normalized casual sex is destroying the communities. Because, like I said, a lot of us young, we indulging in all kinds of behaviors it's like it's acceptable, it's okay. The ones that's not, they end up leaving the community. A lot of them, the men and the women, don't even marry each other, not marrying black, or they integrate into other societies. The majority of us that stand within the communities, this casual sex, this normalized situations that's not building communities, that's not building families, we celebrate that within our communities. It's almost like it's acceptable. I'm sitting there on the sideline as a father in the black community looking at this shit like, what the hell is going on? So what I'm saying is, it's easy for us to say, okay, this is what the women is doing. But as a black man, I'm looking at the same thing that a lot of these Negroes is doing. I'm looking at the same stuff. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I know what I see. And then a lot of brothers, okay, you know what? I'm Ray Lamb. You ain't got no babies, but you still running around and indulging in casual sex, not trying to create any type of family or build anything where other brothers coming behind you can follow. We're not doing that. That's not being done. I've been here a long time. I know what I see, and I speak the truth. I speak on what I see. I'm done.
Here's the thing. I'm glad you said that about Sorry about that. I'm glad you said that about the casual sex, because the casual sex is is what got black men feeling disrespected with the no vote, no vucking. The casual sex is what got brothers feeling upset with the, vax that thing up. The casual sex is what got brothers feeling disrespected about get your booty to the pole. That's, when it comes to the point where you see a lot of brothers like, we having sex and we having casual sex, but it's not at the point where we're actually condoning the belief system that we don't even think about building unless sex is involved. That's being promoted towards us, and we're pushing back on it like, no, that's not true. This is just, that's aggravating. But on top of that, I'm gonna add this to it, and then Roger, say whatever you say. And for both of you, if y'all want to touch on this. And I'm gonna mute myself because my dog is trying to break in my room. How many of us are 50 Cent and how many of us are Marquise Jackson? Because one of our biggest problems beyond the sex and this stuff is our own entitlement for the black people who will try to build a legacy versus the black people who just want it all given for free. So take it where you want to take it, Roger.
Okay, well, I'm gonna say I don't think casual sex is the actual problem. You know, it's really not. I can't even. I'm trying to think. Is it minor of a problem? But no, that's not the issue. The issue is the fact that you don't have people raising women to actually want to be married. You don't have an issue with brothers who want to get married. The issue is brothers can't find a woman worth marrying that they can actually trust to actually be in the marriage. The women of the black community have been raised to either not get married at all or to get married, get a couple of kids, however many they want, 2-3 kids out of the situation, then divorce. They're not raised to actually stay in a marriage. They got all types of excuses to get out of a marriage. If you're married a man, you're supposed to be with him for a lifetime period. And yeah, if he cheat on you, okay, cool, I can understand that. Anything else is just nonsense. And why do most people get divorced nowadays? Irreconcilable difference. What does that mean? I lied when I went and gave those vows saying I wanted to be with this person for a lifetime. I was just using this nigga until I got to where I wanted to be. Now, we got the single mother community that acts just like Mr. Macon was saying. The single mother community does act that way. The problem is we got too many people participate in single mother culture. They are a problem. And that's why black men have to separate themselves from single mother culture. I'm part of the functional black men culture. I don't have nothing to do with single mother culture. I don't have nothing to do with niggas who just want to act the fool all the time, or niggas that do stuff and want to go to prison, niggas that want to have 17 kids and don't take care of. That ain't got nothing to do with me. But that is part of single mother culture. They're not us. We're two separate people. We have two separate cultures. We're not the same. I only care about the functional black community. If people want to have children with dudes who participate in single mother culture, knock yourself out. I ain't gonna never be bothered with y'all like that. You know what I'm saying? The chances of me, I'm not saying it's absolutely impossible because I dated some single mothers when I was young. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say that I will never get with any of them. You know, because people can change or whatever, and they can change their stance, but the chances of that happening is next to none. Okay, if you already got kids by somebody and you didn't want to marry that dude, that tells me it's a good chance you're willing to have a kid by me, but you don't want to be married to me. Now, if you've divorced somebody and you haven't even been married for 10 years, that's a joke marriage. A marriage is something you're supposed to do for decades. If you weren't married for 10 years and you didn't even get the first decade in, you was just misusing the man. Point blank, period. The man was just being misused. Period. The woman is supposed to be agreeing with what kind of man he is and then marry him because he's the leader, not her. So he ain't wrong for being himself. If she didn't want to be with somebody like him, she shouldn't have got with him in the first place. End of story. So you're gonna produce a bunch of entitled people like the Marquise Jackson instead of 50 Cent. 50 Cent did work for his. He may not have went about it in an intelligent way or a better way. I can't say not in an intelligent way. He didn't do it a legal way when he was younger. But he at least was smart enough to stop doing the illegal stuff and work with the legal stuff when he felt he had a better option when it came to rap and things like that. But at the end of the day, we got women who do chase down niggas doing illegal stuff. You cannot be a productive man and doing stuff illegal at the same time. I don't count you being productive if you're involved in illegal stuff. And if you get caught and you go to prison, whatever the case is, can you turn stuff around after you get out? Yeah. But that's your job to go find some men who want to teach you something after you get out. It's not men's job to go find losers and make them winners. That's not a man's job. I'm not gonna go search for niggas to help. No, if you want some help, be a man, go to a man and ask for some. It's not our responsibility to go back for people who did something wrong. That the problem is we think we're supposed to do stuff like no other group of people that have been successful in society have done. It is not our job to go after losers and make them winners. If you need help as a man, you're supposed to be willing to go to another man, humble yourself, and start learning some stuff. I learn from other men on a regular basis all the time. I ain't got no issue with it. Okay? Do I have leaders that are men? Absolutely. I done had them my whole life. My dad was the first one. My uncles was the second, third, fourth, and fifth, and so on and so forth. I was in Boy Scouts growing up. I had male teachers growing up. There's a lot of men that I'm led by. And I lead other men too. But when you mess around in single mother culture, we're taught you don't listen to men. If you listen to a man, that's like he acting like your daddy. You supposed to disrespect him. And that's the problem that men have. We concern ourselves with what women want instead of what we should be doing as men. And we don't know how to send a woman to another room. Look, we finna get in here. We finna talk some business. Y'all go get in the kitchen and make something. And people, oh, that's being chauvinist. Who cares? I'm paying for this stuff. I ain't never met a woman who was willing to take care of me for a lifetime. Now, I've met women willing to take care of me, but they don't want to do it for a lifetime. And that's the whole different thing. A lot of men are dumb enough to play a game with women because, women are, it's a lot of them that be on some slow stuff when they choose to be, and they'll try to take care of a man. But even those women, none of them do it for a lifetime. So men need to learn how to take charge and stop worrying about what women think about stuff and just do what we need to do as men, period, and let them stay in the back seat where they're supposed to be. Because if you give them the driver's seat and they crash the proverbial car, all they're gonna do is blame you for letting them drive in the first place.
Make sure, George, you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. I was just listening. I didn't want to cut the brother off while he was speaking. That's all.
No, I'm just saying when you switched it over, I just wanted to make sure it was.
Yeah. I had to get in my car. No, I mean I'm listening to what he's saying, and I mean most of it I get, but again, it goes back to, like I said, I understand the last part of what he's saying about what men have to do, but this is the thing, man. This is what I do. Like I said, I've been married 18 years, man. I'm in the black community programs, working with kids. I'm doing my part. This is the problem I have with a lot of us men, especially in these YouTube space. A lot of men talk a lot of shit, but when you look into their life, they don't live what they talk. And I have a problem with that. I don't really listen too much about what women say. I watch what women do. That's the way I was raised. I don't listen too much what women say. But I do listen to what men say, and I watch what they do. Men, a lot of black men talk too fucking much. But they're enemy to their own message. And the reason why I'm saying that, because a lot of black men think because they got a job that they actually marriage material. Or that they actually know what manhood is, building, providing, protecting. Most of our men have never been raised to even do any of that. So when I hear this thing, like, and that's what I'm saying, like, I'm not absolving women, but when I hear like a lot of the shit that men say, a lot of things that men say, I always say, like, I always ask, what is the standard for a black man in the community we come from? How high is the bar set? We already know that the bar is set low, and the standard is not high. So we know that a very large percentage of our black men, whether they're successful or non-successful, are not really raised up and understanding what manhood is. They got a job.
Hold on, because I want you to keep going, but hold that thought. Two things. Taipan, I wanted you to click on your camera and click it off so I can see it was you for sure. You ain't had to go nowhere, but don't worry about it. That was my bad. But George, I'm glad you said what you said, because I'm going to ask you this, and then when you land that plane, Roger, you can answer this too. What should be the standard, just the standard for black men that you're doing it right? What should be the standard? Like, could you give a standard, whether it be, let's just go by age 30, you should be this, and this, and that should be the standard, the base standard for a black man who's doing it right and on the right path.
Well, for me, as a pro-black brother, a brother that's about his people, I look at the ancestors that was here before us and what they fought for. What was it that they were fighting for? What is their legacy? We represent their legacy. So as a black man, you should already have a standard for yourself on what it is that you want for your life. There should be a code of conduct amongst men as far as building with no excuse. And if they don't, there should be shame. There should be a culture of shame within those men. You have to build, and I agree with what the brother said. It can't be about what a woman wants first. It has to be a code of ethics of men that when a man is being raised up, he's striving for this. Like damn man, like his name, when he's named, his name should represent all that. Everything that you have for a man should represent that culture and building him up to manhood and nation building. If not, like I said, you gonna have generations of Pookies and Ray Rays and generations of black men that may have got a job, but they don't have a slightest clue on how to actually maintain a family. They know how to operate as an individual for themselves, because a lot of times I hear the argument about the women part, But the problem that I have is I got sons and daughters that I raise to adulthood. And my thing is, I hear what the brother saying about the women, but I'm not gonna sit here and exile our men as if they ain't doing, as if they ain't just as fucked up. And this house is dysfunction. The little girls is fucked up, and so is the little boys. He just as fucked up as she is. And a lot of times he may look good in the suit, but he don't have the slightest clue of what manhood is. Having a job doesn't mean that you understand manhood. So I understand the single mom part, but as far as men who create the standards that dictate how women should move, most of our men ain't raised in none of that shit. We raised to go get a job for Mr. Charlie and shut the fuck up. And one thing he did say that I agree with too is we know how to take orders from other people instead of standing on our own standards. So that right there negates damn near anything we saying about the women. Because we fucked up. We can't even get the women in position because the men don't have the slightest clue of how to do it or the heart or the balls to do it. That's a problem. And we can't blame all of that on women. If we're men and we're logical men, we have to look at that for what it is and say, okay, this is how you fix it. Other than that, like I'm out that conversation, man.
But I'm glad you said it, but could you try to answer the question is what should be a good base point for black men?
You said a good base point for black men as far as explaining.
Dave, hold on for 1 second too. Dave, I see you in the back. Check them out. If you want to cut your camera off, you can. So I'm coming to you now. I'm gonna open it up.
You said a good base. When you say base part, what do you just explain briefly?
What's a good point if you're a black man? I don't care, 25, 30. What's a good base point to say, okay, this brother got this. He's accomplished this, and this. So this is the standard of where you should be at. This is your starting point. This is your respectable launching point. This is where you should be. Because I think that's where we have an issue. Because we
I think that at 30, we should have some form of a trajectory of a good career. We should have somewhere to live, like something of our own where we're not living off a woman, driving her car and everything. We should have some form of finances together that's moving us forward. And we should have some form of understanding what manhood is and what our responsibility is to each other as brothers. At 30, there should already be a thought process of legacy and legacy and generational building. Most of our men at 30 ain't there yet. They're not there. So for me, that should be like the standard. By the time you're 30, you should already be practicing legacy and generational building.
Okay, Roger, Inside Pan, and Dave, what would be the standard of a black man to be being a respectable man, let's just say, in the community by 30?
No, the thing is, he should just be productive. Point blank, period. As I said before, if he's out of high school, now you started your adult world. Go to college or some form of trade school to further education if that's what you want to do. You go get a job, or you go start a business, which is a little bit easier nowadays due to technology, or you go to the military. At the end of the day, all this, what that man got to do, he gonna live the way he want to. We should be okay with that as men. And women get picked from men doing whatever it is that they're doing. It is not my job to say that man ain't doing good enough. Women take prison niggas. Women take niggas with no jobs. Women take niggas with 17 kids already by other men. By other women. Women take basically anything. There is no standard for a man in the black community. The only question is, are you going to be part of the productive group or you're not going to be part of the productive group? I don't care how you lead as a man. The woman is supposed to take you based on who you are. So therefore, the man ain't wrong. If he wants to be a rapper, so be it. Now, if he's 30 years old still trying to be a rapper, I wouldn't be 30 years old trying to be a rapper. But if that's what she wants, I can't fault him because that's what she wants. He's doing what he's trying to do. He's trying to live his dream. You know what I'm saying? If you've made it, however you've made it, whatever you're doing, as women, you have to accept the man based on where he is. Now, at the end of the day, I'm not finna play a game of shooting down other men based on what they have done or what they didn't do. They're men at the end of the day. As long as they ain't doing nothing illegal, I'm fine with them. Period. As long as it ain't involved in illegal activity or something that's extremely immoral, where it becomes destructive to other people. You destroy yourself, I don't care. When you start destroying other people, that's why I would have an issue with it. But all this, we gonna put down a man because he didn't do something you think he should have did. That man got a right to live his own life however he see fit. Black men need to learn how to respect other black men.
All right, Taipan, what you think? What's your answer to that question?
Yeah, my answer to that question is, first of all, I'd like to preface my answer by referring back to what Roger said previously about black male fear. What I've noticed is when black men are addressing white supremacists, this is kind of like I'll make the preface as short as possible. But when we're addressing white supremacists, we talk too much about respectability politics. Sometimes we'll even erase what the law is and say that because a black man did something minor, then he deserves to die. We'll deflect to other topics like what about black on black crime? And in the context of dealing with women, black male fear manifests itself by coming up with a lot of excuses for why it is that the women are doing what it is that they're doing. So this isn't intended as a shot at George, obviously, but when a black man as an individual do have the income, they have a clean record, then what we end up deflecting to is, well, black men as a group don't have the power, therefore the women are justified in not cooperating because now we don't control the grocery stores. But in a normal functional society, the way things work is their society is built concentrically. So you have one man partners with a woman, they create a family. A couple of families move together. They create a community, a neighborhood. Mm-hmm. A neighborhood evolves into a community. But with a lot of the pro-blacks, like what some they speak a lot like George was, where they say, black men, you have to go create your own satellite community. We're going to stay here with the men that we've with the children of the men who aren't doing these things. And then once you establish this other community, go build a neighborhood in the middle of Arkansas, then we're going to move in and we're going to use your grocery stores. And just at its face, that's not the way things function anywhere else. The way an Arab man or a Chinese man feels incentivized to go to work or to start a business is you need the family unit. So cause and effect. The way you even end up with a larger pool of marriageable men is by the women iteratively selecting the best of the best men within their group. What you end up with is a large group of functional men. But what you have in the black community is you have women iteratively selecting for the worst, raising boys that can't read intentionally, then saying, well, what we need is a large pool of black men making six figures. But cause and effect. If the women do things this way, then how are you going to have a large group of functional men? You can't have that because one begets the other.
All right, Dave, you there?
I agree with that a little bit. I kind of disagree with a lot of the stuff they're saying because that stuff sounds delusional. I feel like, because I'm married. I've been married for 10 years. It ain't easy being married to nobody. It takes sacrifice, but you gotta stand up being a man. Your woman gonna test you, but you gotta nip certain things in the bud. But she not gonna follow behind you if you ain't no man. If you ain't taking care of your business, your job and all that don't make you a man. It's your mentality and your personality. And a man is the teacher, he the father. But if you don't demand the respect and don't walk in a respectful way, how do you expect her to follow you? I had to learn that from my wife because I thought I was doing everything right and properly, and I had to do some soul searching, looking at myself. And look at my attitude and look at how I move sometimes. So, I mean, a lot of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Educating yourself, you gotta be willing to start a business. Like, I'm tired, I don't like hearing men saying they wanna go work at a job. It's time for us to build and stop making all these excuses about this. And it don't matter what you are, it's time to build, it's time to start a business. Every one of us brothers shouldn't be talking about going to work no job. Maybe the first 5 years when you go get out 18, but after that, you should be going to working and starting a business. I have businesses. And then when I wasn't doing businesses, I was doing contractor work to get my bread up. I mean, people just gotta, as a man, you just gotta figure out your way. That's the whole test of your manhood. And also, I'll say this too, because I've had dated different women, but I think the test of the man is your woman. Because When you got the right one, then she fulfill you in ways, and she make you want to go out there and do different things. Even though you should have that driving in there yourself, but we can't keep sitting here pretending like separating ourselves from the woman, because I'm not nothing without the woman. I came from her. So if I ain't nothing, then she ain't nothing. If she ain't nothing, I ain't nothing. So the way we think about it is, we gotta quit worrying about these chicken heads and put it on your daughter and get your daughter right. But you can't expect no woman or nobody to follow behind you if you ain't standing out here like a man. And I don't want to sit here and say because a brother go to jail or something like that, because I don't have no record or nothing like that. I don't want to sit there and beat them down because they wasn't raised right. So that means brothers like us need to reach back and try to help somebody instead of trying to beat them down. I don't like hearing that. It's time must be straight positive on whatever, and be able to be gentlemen and respect each other's opinion and take it all the ball together and come out with a plan. But yeah, you should have certain goals and things by the time you get a certain age. It's hard because we got to be realistic. I love my father. He was a good man. Now that I'm older, I realize my mom was doing some things she had no business doing, and she a great woman. So that's on you. You got to be aware. I don't get caught up in all this entertainment stuff out here. It's straight cash every day with me, homie. Because the whole thing is I'm here to leave something for my seed. It ain't about me no more. And that's what people got to understand. Once you have a seed, it ain't about you. Whether the woman, I got 2 kids' mother, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? I had issues with them sometimes. I'm married to the other one. I've been married, like I said, for a while. I've been with her for 16 years. We fight and argue sometimes. That's part of the process. But I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be with my kids. And if she know that, and at the end of the day, when I met her, I knew she was a wonderful person. She ain't going to be perfect, but I knew that was somebody that supported me and had my back. Y'all be knowing, we be knowing. We want to chase that fat booty and make excuses. That first baby mama was chasing that fat booty. I knew better. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to work on business, and we got to build and stop trying to argue and try to see who the biggest nuts. We can't do that. We got to start agreeing, because if we don't get together, it's going to be curtains soon. When they go digital, a lot of our people going to fall by the wayside, bro, and it's happening now. So we got to quit beefing and come together and work together. And we all got the answer, but I love this, because this is what we need. We need this therapy together and quit trying to judge each other and figure out a way and build and get when a little homie see you doing something right, they follow. But I'm gonna step to the back of the class and keep listening.
All right, well, appreciate it, Dave. I'm gonna answer the question. I'm gonna land the plane, and I'm gonna let y'all land the plane, and we're gonna get out of here because it's Sunday. Everybody needs to be with their people, enjoy their day. And I'm mad the Eagles didn't lose, but that's a whole other story. Anyway,
the Browns lost. The Browns always lose.
But here's, like, for me, I think at a certain point we have to have a standard of black men. That's why you sparked me to ask the question, but I'm gonna answer it in this sense. By 30, you should have graduated something, whether it's high school, trade school, or college. By 30, you should have finished something. I'm not a big proponent of whether you're an entrepreneur or working. My issue is by 30, you better have a work ethic that means you're constantly doing something, because you can't build anything as an entrepreneur or if you don't have a work ethic. If
Correct.
You're lazy by 30, you're a loser. You're a failure as a black man, in my opinion. By 30, you should have a place to stay and with the means of being able to provide a bigger place to stay if you wind up having a family. So if you living in a 1-bedroom apartment, that's because you're a single dude, cool, because you're a single dude. But you should have the ability and the means to get a 3-4 bedroom type of place if you wind up meeting a family. You can't have them in the same spot. You should put yourself in that mold by 30, as long as you're single or whatever. And by 30, and I hate to be trifling when I say this, you should be healthy. You shouldn't be falling apart by the time you're 30 because you haven't been taking care of yourself. You can't build anything without your health. Now, some people, you have circumstances. Some people, have diagnoses that's out of their control. I ain't talking about it. But if you out there, if you killing yourself internally by just being reckless, you're a failure, because there is no legacy without life. So for me, I mean, that's what I'll put it as. I don't care about it. For the guys who say For the guys who've been living right, you know, keep doing that. For the guys who haven't lived right, get on your feet. Well, I take this back. By 30, you should have not quit anything for at least 10 years, because you should know by 20 not to be a quitter. So if you're a person who quits all the time, you're a failure. You know, because you can't build a family, a community, a business if every time you get upset and it don't go your way, you just walk off. That's not how men operate. You know, it's one thing, you know, when you put your all in something that don't work, that's one thing. But just quitting because you don't feel like it at that moment, no, you can't do that. But I'm done. But what I would like to do is Roger, George, Taipan, Dave, y'all in that order, speak your piece, say, you know, and promote your channels, and we good.
Okay, well, I appreciate you for having me up. For those who want to see it, I'm about to go on in the next few minutes anyway. So y'all can come over there. Y'all should already know what time it is. And I'm gonna say, as men, we need to build for ourselves, and that's an issue that we have because we build for others rather than building for ourselves. If we focus on building for ourselves, then everything goes in the right place, and we stop trying to help women so much. Start helping men. If you really want to help a black woman, help a man. Now, people may say, well, how does that make sense? Because you're giving women better options of who to marry. As long as you're helping men, they have better options of who to marry. If that's not what you focus on, you really can't help women. Because if you do for them, they're going to do for themselves as well. And normally they will cause their own destruction. And we're going to see a lot of it. And there's a lot going on from this political environment and things like that. They just going to cause more destruction. But the Bible told us that what was going to happen if you leave women to their own devices. We've been warned. It's about whether we're going to listen or not. If you really want to help women, start helping men so they'll have better options. But stop being so judgmental on men. If a man wants to be a failure, let him fail. When he decides he doesn't want to be a failure anymore, he will go to the man that's doing something and he'll get himself together. But as long as he wants to be a failure, leave him over there. Point blank period. Because he's just going to be in your way. And I'm going to get up out of here. Y'all have a great night.
Well, I'll say, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with one part of what he said.
Hold on, Dave. Hold on.
That's not Dave. That's somebody else.
That's me.
Oh, George, my bad. My bad. It was blank, so I ain't know.
Yeah, I agree with what he said. I always teach black men got to start loving black men and building black men up. If you teach black men to love each other and build each other up, you don't have to tell black men to protect black women or everything. She'll have a better selection of men to choose from. But black men should judge black men. We should judge each other. We should hold each other to a higher standard. But in that, we should create the problem that we have, L.A.R, is we are supposed to judge each other, hold men to a higher standard, but we're also supposed to create systems for our black men to thrive in, like the white man do, like the Asian man does. I tell every black man on here, when I hear people come on and say they're pro-blacks, let me tell you something before I go. Every black man should be pro-black in America. Everyone. Because we don't have no friends. Anybody, listen, you don't have to. There's no question, L.A.R, about the Asian man being pro-Asian or the Arab man being pro-Arab. But when we hear pro-blacks, people kill me when they come on here about the pro-blacks. And I'm like, I be wanting to put you in a Paul Orndorff power driver and then drop the Hulk Hogan leg on you. Like, what the hell are you talking about?
First of all, George, stop. Because those were two white wrestlers. You ain't pro-black if you ain't named a black wrestler.
I'm just saying.
What my boy
you know what? You know what? You know what, man? The Rocky Johnson. I want to put you in the Rocky Johnson goddamn suplex. That's the Rock's dad. The suplex. But what I'm saying is, the reason why I'm saying that, we have to have a pro-black agenda for black men. Every other ethnic group of men outperform us because nobody ever questions the Jew man for being pro-Jew or being pro his group. We the only ones that got a problem with being pro-black. So what I'm saying, as a married man of a long time, right? And I got daughters. I am skeptical about the type of men that my daughter dates and everything. But the reason why I created Urban Nerves, because I want to help redevelop black boys. So that way black boys can have a better trajectory of where they're going. They can have standards for themselves. So we should judge our black men, but as black men, we have to provide opportunities for our own men. If you just judging black men and you in a position where you can provide opportunities, then you ain't no better. We got to provide opportunities for our own men. So I land the plane here. We could talk all day about what the woman is doing, but if you a black man and you ain't working with other brothers to provide better opportunities for your brothers, then you ain't got no right to complain about the women. I'm done.
Appreciate it. You still a backup singer. Remember that. But Taipei, you up?
I sing lead, damn it.
Yeah, what I wanted to say builds upon what George. I wanted to to encourage other black men to be more resolute in what they know to be true. You're being gaslit by both your enemies and your brothers alike. Black men in general, just by the fact that we make just on average 10% less than white men, and many of us, we have a large amount of black men who are in the middle class. We have a lot of black men who don't have a criminal record. We have a lot of black men who are very functional. But what ends up happening is we end up setting the bar unreasonably high. We say that black men need to be competitive with other groups while the women are conspiring against them. And what ends up happening is you end up flipping the cause of what's going on in the family setting, where the women are saying openly in the media, in their entertainment, that they don't want to be living with a man. In their politics, they're politically open about wanting to live alone and to have the government subsidize their children. And even just in their day-to-day, they tell you openly that they want this kind of arrangement. But black men are being gaslit into believing that we're also partially responsible when we have a large contingent of men who are single and childless, but somehow we're being implicated in the mess. We're being told that we have an incentive to have single parent homes, even though you're not going to have custody of the child. And in this country, the woman ultimately decides whether or not a child is born. So I implore black men out there to be to just you know what's right and wrong, you know what's going on, and just really believe in yourself. And thanks a lot, L.A.R, for giving me this slide on the webcam.
Boy, Dave up last. That's what's up. So first thing I want to say is that chapter you looking about the with the women is Isaiah chapter 3. Now there's something else I have an issue with. Y'all keep calling yourself black. We also got to re-educate ourselves with some things and understand that some of that stuff we be saying, because that means bleached out, white out, don't mean. And if you look under the law codes, you got white and black. Black means you don't have no rights and you don't have no rights. Even though we do function and we progress in this because we God's children. But if you keep calling yourself that stuff, then that means you don't got no rights. But I'm gonna go past that. I just want to toss it out. If you decide to go look into that and see, then go ahead. But also, as far as a father, I have daughters. And I got a wife and different things. I got a mother to say, I don't raise my daughters off of that single mother nonsense. I let them know. I tell my daughters, hey, by example with me, that, hey, I'm here to groom you to be a wife. I tell my daughters, I want you to get yourself together. I'm gonna help you start businesses so you have your money together so you can have a business from home. So when you do meet your husband, you need to go fall back home and be able to still make money from home and take care of your family. But you have to be the example. You got to take care of them. You got to open that door for your daughter when you go to the store. And you got to show them things. But yes, we all need to get together, and men just need to work on themselves and, mentoring. It could be simple things. Little men's outside playing basketball, stop and talk to them, holler at them. But, that's all I got to say. Just work on yourself, love ourselves properly. And first thing you got to do as a brother, I don't want to call you black because you're my brother, is you got to love yourself. Look in the mirror and love yourself. And respect yourself first, because you're not gonna get it from that many people. And what I've learned, when you learn to love and respect yourself, stop caring what people think about you and get outside that box and really love yourself, people feel that energy and they start transmitting that respect back to you. It ain't about what you do, it's how you do things. That's all I gotta say. I'm out here, young man. I did read your book, man. That really helped me out with my children, bro. I'll tell you that. I bought your book. I've been on to you for like about 3 or 4 years, watching you when you be in your bedroom with a little bald head. Then one time your hat fell off. You was like, oh no, man. So you my dude, L.A.R. I've learned a lot from you, my guy.
I still got that little guy. I said, I don't give it up.
I got a bald head too. I'm holding on. I'm lining up here and there. My kids laughing at me. But all right, my brother, you have a nice day.
You too. Peace, fam.
All right.
Appreciate all y'all for rocking with me. Y'all have a great evening. You know, I'm gonna get out of here with the outro. Peace.
It looks like a job for Superman.
Do this,
Spoken from the lips of the young or the old, there are many.
Yeah. Gotta put it all in.
And there are Supermen.
All the way.
I guess I'm taking off the cake through the glasses in the trash. Being super is great, saving y'all is such a drag. Even God took a break, me I ain't coming back. I got one life to live, if you don't like it, that's your ass. Cause nobody saved me, plus when I walk, I'm just a peon. I could use somebody just like I'm the kings of neon. This world is cold as ice, mixed with salt, mixed with freon. They got me pissed off, but that's better than being peed on. For eons, human beings took kindness for weakness. When you constipated, you start to appreciate shit. Put before you life and death, and you just gotta choose. The kryptonite life means you still follow the rules. If your credit's messed up or your bills ain't paid, then it's getting disconnected. Can't nobody say the day. And I can fly, leave a building in a single bound, but I can't stand fair weather friends, and I just fly around. My super friends in Justice League, only folk I kick it with. Kill Lex Luthor, so what, we had to finish it. Kids play games and adults play for keeps, and me, I play to win, but I ain't playing in these streets. And life is not a joke, then again it ain't this serious. Superman can say the day, but God can say the Superman. Saga of the kryptonite, life just ended. You enjoy listening? Man, I finished it.
Lois, come holler at me. I got an ice couch. Thank you for coming out, listening. I knew you would like it because we made it. I'm so frigid and so fly.